Wait, don't save. Are we working? Okay. Hi. Okay, so we're back. I actually have already done half of, like a third of this cast, but I was called in the middle of it, and I had to stop it. So I'm doing it again. So yeah, let's do that. And I turned off my phone. So okay, let's go back to the top. Um, oh yeah, so sorry. So I'm doing the King of the Nerds Season 3, Episode 4 cast. Sorry for taking so long to do it. I was sick. So yeah, but no, I'm not sick. Or at least less sick. Um, right. Okay, so let's just kind of go through the list that I got here. I like the Horcruxes. Those are a nice touch. I would like to hear the cast of season 3 talk about each person's Horcrux and what was the reasoning for each one. That'd be really nice. Let's see. I felt bizarre. I felt like weirdly uncomfortable when I saw Ivan say, "Living life as a skinny academic." You know, pow, pow, pow. You know that I watched as late at night, and it was like profoundly uncomfortable. I was like, oh, like I stopped it right there. I actually had to stop it. I was like, I can't watch this right now. It just felt so wrong. It just felt wrong, and I'm not exactly sure. I mean, I don't know. We can go into reasons why. But anyway, I watched it the next day, and it was better because I knew it was coming. So people asked why wasn't I in that, and so they invited me to come in. I presumably they wanted me to do that line, and I declined. I declined because they weren't going to pay my airfare, and so I wrote back to the cast. I wrote back to the management person saying wanting me to come and do a show and not pay the airfare was like calling up someone for a booty call and not paying for the taxi. And I was just like, come on. If you're doing a booty call, you at least pay for the taxi. I mean, come on. And they paid for my taxi. And I'm just like, so I declined. If they had, offered to pay, I would have gone. Let's see. I also miss Chicken Panda. I miss Chicken Panda as well. Who said that? One of the Hydra? Whatever. But I'm going to put a link below to the King of the Nerds Season 1 shipping chart that I made. You might like that. Okay. So here's something. So Genevieve said that the fact that they used Talk Nerdy to Me for like this song here, or the song in this episode, rather than Nerds Are King, implies that production thought that Talk Nerdy to Me was a better song, even though we lost. That actually doesn't make me feel any better. It actually makes me feel worse. I don't know, it actually makes me feel about the same. So what I really disliked in season 1, I mean, maybe this might apply kind of across the board, is that I didn't like that I would get emotionally invested in the outcome of a competition or the outcome of like a thing, and the thing be determined by what I felt to be largely chance, or at least have a high chance component. And this just reinforces that. As I told him, I mean, I'm okay with things being determined by chance, and I'm okay with being emotionally invested in things, but I'm not okay with both. Like, if you're doing both, it's just like, ugh, that's going to be miserable. It's going to be like an emotional roller coaster. And that was kind of how I felt like a lot of the competition went. But anyway, so yeah, it's that. Colby is getting increasingly wonderful. Like, I like Colby more and more and more. Like, he's great. What do I like? I like him. So he had this wonderful line, like, I can rap because I'm Scottish. He has such a great sense of humor about like himself and things like that. So let's see. Yeah, and so before I call Colby a quote magical Negro trope, now I'll say Colby may be magical, but he's not a magical Negro. So he's not this season's magical Negro. So, okay, so they bring out the judges. The only person I recognized was Moby. I mean, everyone knows Moby. A lot of people gave Moby like a really hard time. I thought a lot of things he said were reasonable, but I don't know, we'll get to that in a second. Oh, okay, all right, so now I have some nice quips. So Heather says, Harvard, Stanford, MIT, they all want to like get with me or something like that. I would like to mention that. So okay, I've actually worked at all three of these institutions. So I mean, I don't know. I feel like I know a little bit about this, and And I'll say that Caltech has tougher credentials than all of them, and so I think it's kind of tragic for poor Heather that Caltech is not interested in her. So, but I mean, sometimes we got to settle, and and MIT is a really good like Caltech experience for the mass market. Okay. So let's talk about some things from the reviews. So, respectfully, Moby is mistaken about this bit. So, Moby says something like, due to quantum something something, the Newtonian world has been discarded. That's actually not true. And we're feeling like Moby is mistaken here. So Newtonian mechanics remains like one of the four pillars of modern physics, along with electricity and magnetism, quantum mechanics, and relativity. And so if you wanted something where they don't quite work, I mean, quantum and relativity, if you go down to the different scales, so relativity is about very big things, so it's a galaxy, quantum is about very small things. If you apply relativity to the very small scale or quantum to the very big scale, they actually contradict. And this is actually like one of the big problems in modern physics right now is how you reconcile these two. And but despite that, both quantum and relativity happen, and Newtonian mechanics happen to be used like every day. And like it was Newtonian mechanics that got us to the moon. Newton got us to the moon. What more do you want? And and it's still used for most things. I mean, yeah. So Moby's just simply mistaken that Newtonian mechanics is less relevant now. Okay, all right. So let's find some other things. So Heather has a little spat with Moby. That's just unwise. I mean, even if you're completely right, I mean, just don't do that. I mean, so Heather tries to say something like how. So Moby faults them for saying, "Oh, you don't have this property X that I care about." And then Heather goes, "Oh, but there's this other property Y that we have, and I think Y is more important than X." And you're just like, "No, Heather, that's not how you argue with the judge. A more appropriate thing to do would be to say, oh, well, even though first you concede, you say, oh, yes, Moby, you're right that we did not know about the Cleon prune juice things, but so therefore we lack an X here, but we do have an X somewhere else. So you should probably say something like, oh, well, even though we didn't know about the Cleon and prune juice, we do know about this other part that was in our song, or you might even say most things in our song we do know about, and we took a little bit of artistic license. So, but yeah, no, I mean that's just very poor. I understand in the moment you're stressed out, etc., etc. But I mean that's just not how you do it. That's not how you do it. So okay, so they do their thing. I really like Ben's Hadoken during his song. I really like it. I actually came up with I had a startup that actually I don't want to talk about it, but it was called Toroken. It was a combination between Tor and Hadoken. It was like a Toroken. It was like shoot an onion. It was kind of funny. Okay, all right. So then Moby criticizes the other team, and Rochelle responds, "quote Fair enough." Bam, girl. Exactly. Like, go Rochelle. That is exactly how you respond to criticism. You can't just tell the judge you're wrong. You have to concede to the judge and then put an upbeat spin on it. Like that's what you do. Okay. All right. So here's something. Okay. So Caitlin suggests, do we send Colby versus Ori? And instead suggests sending Amanda versus Ori, based on the idea that Ori has a higher chance of success against Amanda. Caitlin, as usual, is correct. So certainly, I don't know. I don't actually know what's the right thing to do in this case. You know what I think to do in this case? I guess you would. So, what do you know? You know it's going to be some kind of. It's going to be something vaguely musical. And so I guess you want someone that would lose to Ori in something musical. That's what you want. I don't know. So I'm between these two. You want to send Amanda, I guess. I don't know. I don't actually know what's the right thing to do. I mean, I understand both positions very well, and I mean, I guess the proposal would be, oh well, if the nerd off is a high chance component in the nerd offs, then we want to take a chance on Ori. I mean, sorry, take a chance on sending Colby out. So get that. And the other one says, oh well, we want to send. We want to maximize the chance of someone winning. So I guess it depends on how much you think the nerd offs are skill based versus random based. Right. I mean, because if they were completely okay, the nerds were completely random. You should definitely send Colby versus Ori. Definitely. Okay. If they're 100% skill based, sorry, if you're going to go with what you think strength is, then I mean, you should not send. Um, Colby versus Ori. So I guess that's what you should base it on. But I don't know, whatever. Whatever. I think either one's a fine decision, but I mean, I don't. I think Caitlin has a great reading situation as usual. Caitlin's always wonderful. Okay, so Jonathan has an alliance with everyone in the house. I love it. Go, Jonathan. I wholly support overlapping alliances. That sounds wonderful. So let's see. I want to talk a little bit more about Moby. So I just think about Moby. A lot of people criticized him for being a dick. I didn't think he was that dickish. I mean, don't get me wrong, he was aggressive. I mean, or maybe his way of assessing nerdiness was maybe different than the way other people assess it. But I don't know. I kind of liked it. I mean, he was not a blank slate, and I liked seeing him inject some personality in there. So I don't know. I liked it. I liked it. I mean, Moby's still he's the only one I knew. He's still the only person I remember from that episode. If the other ones had done anything more interesting, I would remember them. So okay. So Ori votes himself in now for the nerd off, which I liked. I liked. I said finally, that's smart. I mean, I don't know if it's. I mean, I wouldn't know for honor reasons. I mean, maybe you could say it's honorable, which I support that. But I mean, so I have my throne acquisition training where I suggest how you that's just voting for yourself. You're going to go in. So I used my reasons there. Let's see. Oh, and after all of Ori's narration about things, I mean, you know he's going to lose. If someone's getting a lot of camera time in an episode, you know they're gone. Okay. All right. Caitlin says she used to have a roommate take care of her boyfriend's snake. I wish it would have been take care of his anaconda. That would have been really nice. Okay, so let's see. I don't like the cast following Colby and Ori around while they're doing their arranging the objects in the birth order. That seems very distracting. I know if I were doing that, I would want like earplugs, and I would just like that. I don't have to like think about them. So okay, so I try to see how I would do on their on the challenge. So I looked at them, and I ordered them. I ordered them in the following. I ordered them Hawking. Well, I guess we'll do it from the beginning. Leonardo, Shelley, Newton, Copernicus, Franklin, Tesla, Einstein, Curie, Armstrong, Hawking. Most of those are right. So I have Einstein and Curie flipped, and I have Newton and Copernicus flipped, and Shelley's just way off. So like Shelley, I just have like no freaking clue. So, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not. I think it's okay. I mean, I'm first Colby. I certainly would have lost. I think Ori versus Ori, I probably would have won. So, but I don't know. I mean, I just have no. I have no conception of where Shelley is. I should look up Copernicus again. I was always under the impression that Copernicus used Newton's mathematics to better predict the planets. But maybe I'm just totally. I mean, I guess I'm wrong about that. So okay, all right. So that's that. Let's see. My mother. I asked my mom when she's mom on this episode. I asked her what she liked. She said she liked Caitlin and Ori the best. And she said she likes Ori because of his sweetness. I get that. So I must admit, when I first saw Ori, I was just kind of like, meh, and seeing Heather call him basically incompetent, didn't really help things either. But I don't know, I like him now. I like him, and it's kind of sad to see him gone. I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, as much. I mean, he had this whole chivalry thing. It was just like, oh, it's so what a good guy. And I loved how he held up under like intense criticism. Like, it seemed almost every episode he was being criticized by someone, and you know what? He took it. He took it and he responded constructively. That was really great. I so I mind a little bit of Alana in season one. So I felt like, so in this case, she was free. I mean, she wasn't the favorite person on the team, and was thought to be the weakest. But when people tried to, I guess, like change her behavior or something like that, she would get very upset, and she would take it as like a personal attack, on like her value as a person. And she would just get rah. And maybe it turned out that you like couldn't tell her things, or like you couldn't tell her things that might even be vaguely interpreted as offensive. But it seems like Colby could just, I mean, sorry, it seems like Ori could just take it. He could just take it. He could take it, and he could even perhaps even respond constructively to it. And like, oh man, that's what a feature that is to have on a team. What a feature. So okay, all right. So that's all I got for my prepared remarks. So what do I think going forward? I still like Ben. I still like Colby. I think you should stick with them. I know I like the consistency. Jonathan is looking increasingly good. I mean, this multi-alliance thing. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. These alliances are I mean might actually break the game. I mean, I still kind of think that. So I think, and again, I think it's mostly because the teams weren't chosen organically. They were chosen like very artificially, and so I think this makes teams like matter less. So people are more willing to do cross team things. Like I know when we hit with season one, like the ones I hang out with, like when I visit people, usually I'm hanging out um with um with the Blextrophy people. Usually who I'm hanging out with. And usually Blextrophy people in Moo. That's who I'm hanging out with. And that seems to be a common thing. Like so we still hang out with our own team. But I mean that's clearly not going to happen in this case in season three. So, oh yeah. Anyways, that's kind of the property that's about. What else to say? I guess it. Yeah. Okay. I'm done. Cheerio. Peace.